Hello everyone and welcome to our educational session. My name is Paul Arsoff and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. The topic of our educational session today is signaling high status, alternative and distinctive ways, and this is part 3 of this presentation. Imagine you're seeing someone on the street or for the first time and you don't know who they are. Are they with a high status or not? There's some subtle and not that visible and obvious ways of distinguishing someone from like ordinary person with ordinary status to someone with high status. And the signs of like high status, for example, clothes which are very expensive, cars which are also fast and expensive, there may look as outward signs of high status, but the car could be a rental, and the clothes could be like imitations, second hands, vintage, and etc. But in part 1 and 2, we did distinguish 6 different dimensions for which like this subtle status is visible for to people who are looking for this specific traits, 6 different traits. And a little sideways, I like to mention that currently you are seeing switch of the format. Previously the videos, they were in a way of portrait, and currently we are for the first time in this video experimenting with landscape video recording. So you're welcome to send us a feedback whether this is better or not. But we continue experimenting, and the project I did mention is also all about experimenting, and I am going to talk about this after we finish this part 3 of the presentation. But let's come back to the presentation of today, and we are going to look at distance and a trait in terms of quantities. Material abundance of scarce resources and precious goods has always been tied to prosperity and status. In classic antiquity, Pluto was the god of wealth and was usually depicted holding a cornucopia, literally horn of plenty. So like it's a large horn-shaped container which was overflowing with like produce, grains, and gold coins. Centuries later, by observing the status signaling dynamics of the upper strata in affluent American society of the 19th centuries, we can note that accumulation of expensive luxuries and the visible waste of resources conferred prestige. Conversely, the failure to consume in the quantity and quality becomes a mark of inferiority and demerit. Even the term luxury itself comes from the Latin word luxus, which means excess. suggesting that the elements of abundance, opulence, and waste are at the heart of luxury consumption and status signaling. Conspicuous consumptions in the aspiration of material abundance continue to influence purchasing patterns throughout the 20th century as industrialization, mass production, and technology progressively enabled the acquisition and accumulation of goods to unprecedented levels. The American dream narrative itself evolved to justify people's desire to purchase expensive cars, extravagant homes, and lavish consumer products and services, and must-haves of the so-called overspent American um, society. To this day, celebrities mentions filled with maximalist decor and ostentatious amenities such as floor-to-ceiling gold mosaic tiles and huge walk-in closets full of luxuries and are prominent and celebrated in magazines, social media, and television shows. As many scholars and social critics have noted, however, material abundance and waste are progressively losing their value as signifiers of status. Instead, some of the wealthy are actively reducing the number of their possessions, letting go of many, many of their belongings and concentrating their resources on fewer goods, possibly more durable and sustainable. Steve Jobs' notoriously empty living room and Elon Musk's tweets in 2020 on letting go of all his assets. For example, he said, I'm selling almost all his physical possessions, will own no house. These are good illustrations of this determination to own few things. Along the quantity continuum, distance from traditional signals is achieved by willingly owning few rather than many possessions. The moves towards reducing possessions among the wealthy have assumed different manifestations in the market. Some high-status consumers are reducing their spending on material possessions and relinquishing many of their physical belongings. For example, voluntary simplicity, which has gained traction among the high-status consumers, refers to the willful choice to limit expenditures on goods and cultivate non-materialistic sources of satisfaction. Consistent with this notion of detachment from possessions, decluttering, eliminating the many superfluous objects that clutter well-to-do homes, has also recently gained momentum. As some authors put it, people who have it all now seems to prefer having nothing at all. This de-emphasis on many belongings is also reflected in minimalist luxury, whereby wealthy people choose to stand out from mainstream consumers by deliberately limiting their consumptions of luxury goods. Often reducing possessions is paired with the desire to embrace a more sustainable lifestyle. For example, the initiatives inspired by the buy less, buy better principle and the celebrity trend of wearing the same designer outfit at multiple ceremonies indicate a quest for more sustainable ways of consuming fewer luxury goods. Moreover, sustainable luxury products emphasizing timelessness um, uh, and often giving a second life to pre-existing items, um, like for example made of regenerated nylon from previous goods, are on the rise. Although these manifestations emphasize a slightly different aspect of reduced consumptions, they all share the common pursuit of owning less. So we are going to go to the definition and foundations. Distance of the dimension of quantity refers to the distance among signals in terms of number of possessions on the many versus few continuum, and has been measured and manipulated, for example, throughout the number of products in an environment. What, what accounts, at least in the past, for the abandonment of traditional paradigm for status, signaling tied to the abundance of belongings. As previously mentioned, modern mass-produced systems in developed economies have made once rare and unattainable luxuries ubiquitous commodities. As material goods spread towards in the class structure, abundance and the possessions of many things, which were once a badge of distinction, no longer grant prestige as in the past. In other words, in the past, when accessing and owning goods was more difficult, material abundance was a signal of status. However, because advanced stages of capitalism in many developed economies have made it easier for many consumers to accumulate many items, ownership of fewer possessions have progressively emerged as an alternative signal of status for the privileged. Thus, rampant consumerism has opened the door to a strategy of conspicuous non-consumption as an alternative means of signaling social status. When Steve Jobs did sat on the floor of his living room, not owning a couch, it was the conspicuous signal. When Elon Musk publicly tweeted about letting go of his assets, foregoing properties was the visible signal. So we would be looking for the benefits. First, owning fewer high-end items is increasingly considered a virtuous behavior, immune to the stereotypical negative associations of wastefulness and materialism tied to traditional conspicuous consumption. Second, with regard to sustainable luxuries, these signals allow their owners to visibly demonstrate that they care about the world and value sustainability. Furthermore, insofar as the decision to own fewer things is not dictated by a lack of means, voluntary simplicity and consumer minimalism may lead to positive attributions of status and competence. work in game theory has indeed demonstrated an equilibrium whereby some high status consumers are better off limiting the showcasing of their assets and wealth. And finally, at a more concrete level, with fewer objects and less clutter, the products and environment itself become more valuable and prestigious because more empty space is devoted to them. So we would be looking at the costs. Reducing one's possessions means for foregoing an important opportunity to signal through consumption, and thus only high status individuals who feel secure about their positions in the social hierarchy may open to letting this chance go. In addition, although reducing the number of possessions or the decluttering may seem an effective consumption strategy money-wise, in reality it is a privilege that can be enjoyed only by those who have a lifestyle that can be pared down. The means to dispose of goods without fear of being unable to repurchase them if necessary, and the flexibility to adjust their lifestyle at will. And lastly, in the case of sustainable luxury, high-end green goods are by no means cheaper than the traditional luxury items, and their owners incur the cost of owning products that benefit the environment and society, but may be inferior for personal use and performance. So we would be looking for some extensions, like for example the materialization and digitalization. If wealthy individuals acquire fewer possessions, they will likely divert the saved resources elsewhere and these new channels to convey who they are. And indeed, eschewing the accumulation of physical and material goods, the rich are investing significantly more in high-end intangible services. For example, concierge healthcare, personal coaches, private chefs, expensive healthcare to make their life easier and more efficient, all of which are immaterial but cost many times more than any fancy which a middle income consumer might buy. Along the same line, high status consumers are progressively shifting from buying things to buying experiences. Immaterial forms of luxury consumption often refers as experiential luxury. For example, exotic travel and holidays are booming. Luxury brands are also rapidly embracing the metaverse by pioneering new virtual distribution models and launching products tied to non-fungible tokens, digital certificate of ownership stored on blockchains. For example, Selfridges recently launched its first flagship store in Decentralized for Metaverse Fashion Week. And Dolce & Gabbana sold a 9-piece collection of digital NFTs alongside actual couture for $6 million. If this digitalization trends continue gaining traction, it's plausible that in addition to curating their physical personas in real world, consumers will curate their digital selves in and virtual existences in the metaverse. Thus, moving forward, not only high-status consumers accumulate fewer possessions, but distance on quantity may also involve the progressive dematerialization and digitalization of traditional luxury goods. To study all these new trends together, research could examine whether the high-status consumers actively reducing their physical possessions and assets are also contextually investing in material services, experiential luxuries, and digital luxury goods. And with this said, we are going to end talking about this specific traits of distance in terms of quantity, and we are going to go to the next trait, distance in terms of conspicuousness. A defining characteristic of traditional luxury goods is their level of visibility and conspicuousness. Easily noticeable markers such as ostentatious products, recognizable shapes, or large logos enable the signaling process and easy the communication of desired identities. While theories of status signaling suggest that more explicit markers facilitate communication, inconspicuous consumption, defined as the use of subtle and quiet status symbols that are not readily apparent to most consumers, is on the rise. As the product level, the construct of brand prominence reflects the extent to which a product has visible markings that help ensure observation recognize the brand. For example, manufacturers can produce a product with fault or conspicuous a product with loud or conspicuous branding. For example, Louis Vuitton bag with highly recognizable LV monogram pattern on put next to each other all over the specific item. And whether it is LV or toning down to quiet or subtle branding, for example, LV bag with no visible logo, sometimes items looking like ordinary, monochromatic and unbranded pieces are the ultimate quiet status symbol. For example, while a Mark Zuckerberg outfit may seem quite casual and mundane, the Facebook founder's signature T-shirt are custom ordered from Brunello Cucinelli, and they cost more than $300 a piece. Zuckerberg also bought 4 homes surrounding his current residence near Palo Alto, California, for more than $30 million, but instead of wanting to live in excess, the objective of this costly purchase is to protect his privacy and ensure that his residence is even less visible than before. Concealing one's resources and assets from public view rather than displaying them ostentatiously or spending thousands of dollars on high-end items to be consumed privately, such as expensive mattresses, is another manifestation of so-called stealth wealth, gaining momentum among the elites and is consistent with inconspicuous consumption. We will be looking to the definitions and foundations. Distance on conspicuousness refers to the difference between traditional status signals and alternative signals in terms of visibility and recognizability on the conspicuous versus inconspicuous continuum, and has been measured, for example, through questions like how prominently does this bag display its trademark, and manipulated through the size of the logo on the product. Why might consumers pay for luxury goods that are presumably less effective signals and hide their status symbols? The rise of subtle signals and inconspicuous consumption can be attributed to the progressive democratization of loud luxury goods and the increasing problem of high-end counterfeits. It is indeed the rise that the more accessible luxury goods tend to be loud, conspicuously branded products. Moreover, the increased presence of high-quality counterfeits that look identical to the originals is posing tremendous challenges to the luxury industry. These high-quality counterfeits, often referred as super fakes or AAA fakes, are becoming so sophisticated that even manufacturers have trouble identifying them as fake. An analysis of fakes reveals that counterfeits tend to be copies of louder luxury goods because they're what consumers who want to show off but do not have the means to pay for the real product demand. Thus, the more conspicuously branded an original product is, the more likely it is to be copied. Research demonstrates that inconspicuous luxury goods tend to be more sophisticated type of signal to other like-minded individuals who can correctly decipher it as well. Even when brands do not use obvious logos or blatant patterns, and even when wealth is rather concealed from sights, those in the know with the right cultural and social capital use the design or shape of products or rather less visible aspects to recognize these signals and understand their real value and price. Moreover, the upper echelons of society, luxury, has become less a tool for public status consumption and more a means to private pleasure. The richer a society or a peer group, the less important visible spending is, and the more members of the top strata hide their possessions and enjoy them in privacy. Um, like as some authors said, inconspicuousness is the new conspicuousness for the elites. It is important to note that inconspicuous consumption is not the mere aversion to brands or logos, or the abandonment of luxury goods altogether. In all these examples, high-status consumers still opt for goods from top luxury brands, and they may prefer options with logos in some cases, as long as these logos are not readily understood by mainstream consumers. This strategy is also not the same as voluntary simplicity or downgrading of one's consumption lifestyle, as these consumers are still opting for very expensive products given their consumed even when consumed in private. So what are the benefits? The first benefit of that is that inconspicuous consumption is difficult to imitate if one doesn't know what to look for in high-end goods, other than the obvious branding marks and ostentatious behavior. Indeed, subtle signals and out-of-sight consumption can be a deliberate strategy to restrict imitation by lower social groups by making preferences and tastes complex and hard to follow. Some scholars even propose that subtle signals may be a substitution for counterfeiting, given that consumers may be less inclined to purchase replicas that do not grant visibility. Moreover, inconspicuous consumption and subtle signals diffuse potential feelings of envy and hostility. Indeed, many practice stealth wealth and try to fly below the radar to better enjoy their money in private and face less scrutiny and jealousy. Furthermore, concealing one's advantages and privileges shows sensibility to the mounting debates about inequality and helps managing the discomfort with these social issues. And lastly, these subtle status signals grant a distinction from the over-the-top conspicuous consumption of the nouveau rich and help high-status consumers avoid being misconstrued as those who use mainstream luxury products to show off. So what are the costs of employing this signal? Two studies demonstrate that as the prominence of the brand on the product goes down, the price of high-end products go up. Thus, consumers typically pay a premium for pieces that display the brand name less conspicuously and use very discreet signals in their designs. Moreover, learning to recognize the subtle details and complexities that denote high quality, for example, extra button, special stitching, uh, and indicates status, even in the absence of blatant signs, is also a cost and the result of a prolonged process of refinement and knowledge accumulation. And finally, inconspicuous products and private consumptions entail the opportunity cost of non-sending clear signals. Um, Only high status sectors will be open to bearing this cost and foregoing opportunities to signal. Um, so, like, there's some extension of this, dimension of inconspicuousness, and one such extension is value expressive functions. Signaling is not only a social phenomenon. Individuals also engaged in certain behaviors to signal a favorable identity to themselves. Consistent with this notion, luxury goods serve two contextual functions: social adjustive functions, which help consumers with presentation and signaling to others. For example, buying LV bag because it is a status symbol in the eyes of others, and value expressive functions which help consumers with self-expression and signaling to the self, like, for example, buying a LV bag because of the brand reflects one's personality. In the case of subtle signals and private consumption, the signal to the self is more straightforward and unambiguous because it is less conspicuous by definition, and it is not diluted by social presentation motives. Therefore, distance on the conspicuousness dimension should be more appealing to those who consume luxury goods, relatively more for value expressive rather than social adjustive functions. Consumers who are willing to depart from traditional status symbols but are interested in sending visible signals to others, like, for example, social adjustive functions matter relatively more to them, are more likely to choose a distance on different dimensions such as time or aesthetics. To test this idea, maybe additional research could bring samples of users of different alternative signals, like, for example, users of subtle luxury goods, consumers of vintage, ugly luxury, buyers, and etc., and examine the um, underlying motives for engaging in these signaling strategies. And with this said, I am ending this part 3 of this presentation. And next week we will be bringing part 4, starting with distance in terms of aesthetics. As I mentioned in the beginning, my name is Paul Arsov. I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web Project. We're building a decentralized communication and advertising platform, and we did release a marketplace and collection of NFTs based on three-dimensional objects. These three-dimensional objects are like loaded and animated by our own 3D software engine. And like from the beginning of this project, we had the choice either of using a standard 3D software package, and usually these are two game engines. One of them is called Unity, the other one is called Unreal. But we did decide to go with a third choice and develop our own 3D software engine. What it does is it loads the 3D object file. It opens a window on a computer screen. It displays the 3D object of the 3D NFT in this window, and it starts animating this 3D object in a way of moving it in a random fashion around the window. But in addition to these basic functions, our 3D software engine has multiple additional capabilities. The first additional capability of our 3D software engine is the capability of speaking. Our 3D NFTs can speak in one of three basic voices. They can speak either in a male voice or in a female voice or in a whisper kind of a voice. In addition to the three basic voices, there are three different flavors of voices. For example, a 3D NFT can speak either in a normal speed or in a fast speed or in a slow speed manner. If we take, for example, a male voice and it is spoken in a slow speed manner, then this voice can come as the voice of a masculine person or the voice of an old person. And if on the other hand we take a female voice and it is spoken in a fast speed manner, then this voice can come as the voice of a funny person or the voice of a little girl. The next additional important quality of our 3D software engine is the voice recognition capability. Like if, for example, we have a 3D NFT which is loaded and displayed on a flat computer screen, we can issue our very first command to the 3D NFT to stop moving, and then the 3D NFT is going to stand still and stop moving. Then we can issue following voice commands to the 3D NFT to move left, move right, move up, move down, zoom in, zoom out, rotate. And then the 3D NFT is going to fulfill each one of these voice commands and move left, then move right, move up, then move down, come closer, zoom in, go farther away, zoom out, and start rotating. The next additional and important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of them having basic artificial intelligence. The 3D NFTs can you can ask the 3D NFT what is your name, and then the 3D NFT is going to reply with a voice with their name. You can ask the 3D NFT who are you, and then the 3D NFT is going to tell you in few sentences who they are. You can ask the 3D NFT to describe something, for example, describe Web3 or describe decentralization or describe Russia. And then the 3D NFT is going to describe in few sentences about Web3 or about decentralization or about the country called Russia. And the last but not least important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of us seeing them in real 3 dimensions. Currently, the 3D NFTs are projected on a flat 2-dimensional computer screen, and we are using our imagination to imagine these 3D NFTs in 3 dimensions. But we are going to be providing a second version of the 3D NFTs, and this second version is going to be displayed in a way of stereoscopics. What stereoscopics means is that part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in red or reddish colors, and another part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in blue or bluish colors. Then you can come to our 3D NFT marketplace, and probably this is the time I can tell you about the URL and the name of the website of our 3D NFT marketplace. It is 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. 3D NFTs are written in a way of the number 3 followed by the letter D followed by 3 other letters NFT, and it is all together 3D NFT. Then there is dot, then there are 2 words, decentralized and web, and they're all together, decentralized web. Then there is dot, and it ends with org. Once again, the name and the URL of the website is 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. On the top of the screen, you are going to see some links to different things in our website, and one of these links is going to be about accessories. When you click on this link for accessories, you're going to see that we are offering special glasses, and you can order 1 pair of these glasses, and when you receive these glasses, you're going to see that one lens of these glasses is red and the other lens of these glasses is blue. Then you can put these glasses on, you can request displaying in the way of stereoscopics, and then you're going to see the 3D NFT as coming out of the flat 2-dimensional computer screen, and you're going to see it in real 3 dimensions. With this said, I'm ending this talk about the 3D NFTs, the collection, and I like to tell you about our marketplace as well. In our marketplace, we have our own blockchain instance. It runs Ethereum software, and it is the same software which runs on Ethereum mainnet, on Binance Smart Chain, on Polygon Matic, on Avalanche Avax, and on many other blockchains. With this said, I would be telling you that by having our own blockchain instance, then we do not require our users to pay gas fees for the deployment, the initial deployment of the smart contracts of the non-fungible tokens, and transfer of users do not need to pay gas fees for the transfers of ownership from one user to another. In this way, also we allow our users to pay in multiple crypto coins, and currently our users can buy and receive proceedings from sale in 4 different crypto coins. The choices include Solana Sol, Polygon Matic, Avalanche Avax, and Qcoin, which is a big centralized crypto exchange. They have a coin called KCS. In addition to buying and receiving proceedings from sale in crypto, we have a second parallel and independent way for buying and selling of our 3D NFTs, and it is done entirely in fiat currency. Buyers can come to our NFT marketplace and put the number of their debit or credit card, and so what's going to happen is this transaction is there's going to be a conversion from the national fiat currency of the first user who buys an NFT this conversion is going to convert the national fiat currency of this user to US dollars and deposit it in our bank account. So let's say this initial user is going to play with this 3D NFT for a while, and then they can decide to put this 3D NFT for sale. They decide on the price they like to put for sale, and let's say there's a second user who comes to our 3D NFT marketplace. They browse through the 3D NFTs, and as it happens, they like the 3D NFT which was put for sale of this first user. So what's going to happen is let's say the second user decides to pay with fiat currency as well. Then there's going to be a conversion from the national fiat currency of the second user, and this conversion is going to convert it to US dollars, and we're going to follow this action with transfer of ownership from first user to the second user. Now the second user is current owner of this 3D NFT, and we're going to follow this second action with the third action, which is transfer from our bank account and conversion from US dollars to the national fiat currency of this first user, and this first user is going to receive the proceedings from sale of the 3D NFT in their bank account in their national fiat currency. With this said, I am going to end this presentation of our project, and I like to invite you to come again next week for the part 3 of this multi-part lecture, Signaling High Status, and we will be starting the talk with the quality and distance in terms of aesthetics. Thank you for viewing, thank you for coming, have a nice day, have a nice evening, and goodbye.